Greetings, I'm Michael DeSanto, and the host of this edition of Champion Chats, where we dive into proven success stories from around the fluid analysis industry. Today, we're joined by Matt Copot from Transervice. Welcome, Matt.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us here on Champion Chat. I've had a chance to talk a lot with our team about Transervice and some of the things that you've been able to accomplish within your program. And you've really established and created an effective continuous improvement culture at Transervice. With that, how has that really helped your team embrace its fluid analysis program?
Well, it takes a effort from everybody. From the technician that's actually taking the sample to the foreman who is preparing the samples for delivery to the lab. The locations have the follow-up there once they receive the notifications from your team. And then we have to follow up with all the units that require any additional types of samplings, where you might have additional testing that's necessary based on the results you get. So, we actually have a good collection of folks out there in the field that handle this for us, as well as we have a couple of regional employees that actually monitor the program in and of itself. So they look at the detail of the reporting, some of the units that might come with a higher severity number associated with them, and do the individual dive, and get into the weeds with what's actually happening to that unit. So, that helps us develop an even better program through and through.
Based on your experience and the lessons you've learned as the Vice President of Maintenance for Transervice, why is fluid analysis such an important tool in today's maintenance toolbox?
Well, you got to know the health of your fleet, and the sampling is critical to understanding, basically how your engines are operating. It gives you that live data to tell you exactly what the content of that oil is. And with our company, we run a variety of equipment and many different applications. It's not just a single application. So we don't have that capability to have one interval that oversees basically the entire fleet. We have to be able to adjust our intervals and constantly monitor, these engines to optimize the performance and reliability. And without the sampling, we just can't throw one number and expect it to work in all applications. Some might have to dial in and reduce the amount of drain interval times, while some we might be able to expand on based on the results.
Thinking about that a little bit further and talking about the extended drain intervals, which have clearly been a clear focus for Transervice in recent years, how has fluid analysis helped your extended drain interval program on your fleet of trucks?
Well, kind of like we alluded to earlier, it's that information and then the various reporting, and you can get it down to the unit, like we talked about earlier, or you look at it holistically from the entire fleet and just kind of mesh it together and work together to understand what those intervals are providing to you. We like to sample and test other types of intervals, not just pushing it out to call it 50,000 miles without any type of follow-up on what's occurring. We'll put units in the pipeline with extended drains, maybe 10, 50 units, to see what kind of range we can get and constantly monitor it. So when you think about the focus, it has to be on that information. It's telling you exactly what's happening, and making sure that your data that you're providing from a standpoint of the actual mileage on the drain is accurate. Otherwise, the data can be compromised.
And to kind of build on that a little bit more, and some of the success stories that you've had with your fluid analysis program today, overall, what are some of the keys of success that you've experienced in taking your program to the next level and watching it evolve?
Yeah, great question. We talked about it a little bit in the question you just mentioned, but the sample integrity, obviously, it makes a big difference where you're gathering that sample from. You think about the dirt and the grime underneath the engine on the oil pan. We don't want to pull our samples from the pan, don't get any type of contamination into that sample. So utilizing the sample valves right off the engine, minimize any type of contamination that might occur. It gives you a much more accurate sample. You certainly don't want to be running down into a rabbit hole for something that just simply got a little bit of dirt or grime within that sample, and the readings are off. And we touched on a little bit too, your severity reports, you gotta take them serious. If something's showing up and you've got water in the oil, you need to make sure you pull that truck in immediately and get it addressed. There could be other things going on in there that you really need to follow up on and take care of to make sure that you don't have a catastrophic loss.
Matt, you shared some great insights about extended drain and catastrophic failures. Can you share one recommendation to help other maintenance professionals better manage a successful fluid analysis program?
Absolutely. Partnering with your lubricant supplier as well as the lab, helps determine what your fleet, should be running from an oil drain standpoint. When I say that, we have like 124 regional and local facilities across North America with 24,000 pieces of equipment. Having that understanding with the lab and with your supplier who knows you as a customer helps you determine what is best for your fleet. For example, if you set up quarterly business reviews with the lab and you talk through and you determine you wanted to extend the drain intervals on a particular city application fleet, the lab needs to know that, as well as that supplier, that you're going to be messing around with the intervals, whether they're forward or backward. They're going to be the ones that have a vast knowledge of what's happening out there in all the different applications and help the customer ultimately determine what intervals are the best for them. That partnership is going to determine the best course of action for the organization. So you're not extending things out beyond the limits or perhaps taking things a little bit too short.
And you've certainly shared some great ideas, some proven success stories today, and your insights are going to be well valued by our viewers here. Thank you very much for joining us here on Champion Chats.
Thank you.
And for all of you, thank you for joining us here on Champion Chats today. And to learn more about how we help companies save more equipment and increase their uptime, visit us at PolarisLabs.com. See you soon.